Hello guys, and we're here today with another deck that I think can stand up against Pepe, stand up against Pendulums, and this is, I call this anti-extra deck, Monarch. So it's pretty much a stun deck based around if your opponent has an extra deck, you're going to destroy it. We are not running the field spell because that is more of a control thing, preventing your opponent from using the extra deck, but not getting rid of it. We're here to completely dismantle it. And once Bosch comes out, the extra deck is going to be very, very clogged. It's going to, like, especially past March. Once March hits, because people are going to be running Utopia and maybe even C39, so that way they have two materials on, or they can use S39's Lightning, Utopia the Lightning's effect twice, so that could be 2-3 cards in their extra deck, and then you have Infinity, which is 3 cards if you don't have access to machine type monsters, level 5 machine type monsters. So definitely their extra deck is going to be very clogged. It's going to be very easy to dismantle. With the Draco Slayers, they're probably going to be running 2, maybe even 1 to 2 of each of them, so you can just get rid of those Draco Slayer extra deck monsters really easily with Zaborg. So let me just go into the deck. We're running 2 Erebus. Erebus is really awesome because if he's in your graveyard, you can ditch a Monarch spell trap card from your hand to add a Monarch card from your graveyard to your hand. And what's awesome about him, although we don't run trade-in, there is a combo where if you can trade in with him, and if you draw into another trade in and then a Monarch spell trap card, you can ditch the Monarch spell trap card, add him back to hand, trade him again, and then keep on doing that because it says once per turn you can do it, but it doesn't say once per turn for his name. So that means as every time he hits the graveyard, you can reactivate that effect. He also has an effect if he is tribute summoned. You can just get rid of 1 card from your opponent's hand, field, or graveyard. It goes back into the deck. It doesn't get banished, so it's kind of like a 1/3 of a Trishula. Many times you're just going to go for the hand unless there is a monster that you have to get rid of. So he's definitely very, very useful. And then Zaborg. Zaborg is the heart of the deck. You want to get him off first turn, but it's pretty much, if you can get him off first turn, you can dismantle your opponent's extra deck and then summon out a Unicorn. So, which would even more further hurt their extra deck, because now any extra deck monsters or effects are negated. So the Zaborg effect is if he is tribute summoned, you can target a monster on the field, destroy it. That's pretty much it. But if it's a light monster, and he's a light monster, both players will send as many cards as possible from the extra deck to graveyard equal to that monster's level. So it can be very interesting. You can, if you wanted to, hit some of your opponent's monsters, but if you're going up against Pepe, like if you hit Damage Juggler, you're only going to be able to get rid of 4 cards. So it's better just to hit him. He's level 8. That's more than half of your opponent's extra deck right there. And if you tribute a light monster, such as Idea or the trap monster in the deck, you get to choose which cards your opponent sends, which makes it even better. So, and then these are the 8 cards that we have set up to send. If you need to send more, if you're getting them off twice in one duel, which is still very useful, you can go into getting rid of a Felgrand or some of these XC monsters that you never make. And then Aether. Aether is very useful, just being able to, you can banish a Monarch spell trap card from your graveyard and summon them during your opponent's turn. And if he is tribute summoned, then you can summon out a Monarch monster from your deck, and then it gets returned to your hand during the end phase. So he is a great searcher. He's a little bit slow because you won't be able to get off Zaborg's effect the turn you summon him, but he is definitely very, very useful in the deck. Just helps with searching, and then he also dumps 2 Monarch spell trap cards from your deck to graveyard, which can set up for even more plays. So very useful. And then we're running 1 Ryza because it is possible. It's hard because we're not running 2, but it is possible to get off a Ryza lock where you summon him and then you summon out another monster, and then you use Erebus to add him back to hand. So it's kind of like you use him, and then during your opponent's turn you use Aether, and then you can also use Erebus effect to add during your opponent's turn, so then you add him back to your hand, and then you can keep on doing that over and over and over again, and your opponent just will end up losing because, well, they don't have any cards. It's a Ryza lock. So it is possible, but it is kind of hard to do, and you don't really see Ryza be played all that often, but he's still very useful in the deck. 3 Eodos. Eodos can be a little bit annoying because of his effect, where if you use his effect to special summon out Idea from your graveyard, then you cannot summon monsters from your extra deck, which is a little bit annoying, especially if you're going to go for a Zaborg and then make an Exterior play, which is very, very useful against Pendulums, because Exterior can negate Pendulums being activated. But as I said, you can banish him from your graveyard, summon out an idea, and if he is normal summoned or special summoned, you gain an extra tribute summon during your main phase. So that is what makes it possible to play the deck, because you summon idea, and idea allows you to summon out Eodos, and then Eodos gives you an extra normal summon or an extra tribute summon. So that gives you one normal summon. Now you get an extra. Now you can summon Zaborg and get to choose which monsters your opponent gets rid of. And then idea also has the effect, if it's sent to the graveyard for any reason whatsoever, you can add one of your banished spell trap cards from your deck, not from your deck, from your banished to your hand. So it's for even more combos. So that's very, very useful. It just allows you to do so much in the deck, and so very good combos. Just summon him, use him to summon him out, use him to summon him out. Just very good. And then we're running Unicorn because, well, you can search him off the Ferret of the Arclight, and he's just very, very good. Just being able to negate extra deck monsters' effects, which also hurts pendulums being summoned from the extra deck. And then Regeki, of course. And then the draw power of the deck hand deity of the Monarch. You can use this more than once per turn, which is really good. It's just send a Monarch spell trap card from your deck to your graveyard. And let's see how many we have. We have, including itself, so you have 3, well, if you're using 1, so that means only 2, 5, 8, 11. We only have 11 targets, which is kind of not really good, but it's still decent. And it's a +1. It's a +1 because you can banish it to reveal 3 Monarch spell trap cards in graveyard and add one of them to your deck, from your deck to your hand. So very, very useful. Just keep on doing that, and that's where you get the combos with idea, is just being able to add them to hand and then use it again, because you used it to search, and so you should have 2 in your hand. So very, very useful combos. And then of course, one Rota to search out the idea. Tenacity of the Monarch will allow us to, if we have one of the big Monarchs, add a Monarch spell trap card from our deck to hand, such as the trap card or the Stormforth, or to just continue drawing. Miracle Synchro Fusion allows us to make exterior, and it's a great dud for Twin Twister. You only have the original Monarch, and your opponent Twin Twisters, and you have this face down, and it is destroyed. Then you get to draw 1 card, so it just helps out. Upstart, we're not running Trade In because trading can clog and just not have a target. And I feel if you're going to be running Trade In, you should be running Upstart, so that way you draw into your targets. And then of course the Kaleidoscope to go with the Necros. Twin Twister, only 2, but it's still very useful. As we were saying, you can use him to summon out from grave, you can use his effect in the grave, so there's plenty of discard targets. And of course you can banish this card from your graveyard. Use your opponent's monster, but if you use, for a tribute summon, you can use your opponent's monster, but if you use this, you cannot summon from your extra deck, so again, no exterior plays if you use this. You just have to be really careful, because I found sometimes I've been trying to not, like Deadpool won't let me use the extra deck, and I don't know why. I think it's Eodos. I think if you use either one of Eodos effects, you don't get to use your extra deck. The original Monarch is very good, prevents you from pretty much decking out. Target 2 Monarch spell trap cards in your graveyard and then shuffle them, so it's very useful, just helping with the cycling and just continuing on. Not being able to lose any of your stuff. But if it is in the graveyard, you can banish a Monarch spell trap card to summon him out, not as a trap card, and he has 2400 attack and he is light, so good monster to tribute for Zaborg. And then of course Notice and Warning. You see these guys fairly often, especially with all the draw power. Once you get going, once you do a decent amount of deck thinning, because him being able to summon Eodos from deck, and him and these 4 monsters being able to summon, well, he gets to summon a monster and then get to send 2 Monarch spell trap cards, and this with all the draw power and the searching, it's just really, really crazy how quickly you can go through your deck and then upstart, or you go off with another Pan Deity. I mean, there's been times where I go and I have 4 cards and I end with an entire back row filled an entire hand, and it's just crazy. So now into the extra deck. Now, if the reason we're not running Nittis is because it has been announced for the TCG, if it gets announced, if it's in Bosch or it's in Premium Gold 3 or whatever it is in, take out Unicorn, take out Herald of the God, like just put this in, because it'd be better against the Pendulums. Just summon out Zaborg. You still want to go off Zaborg first turn, but summon out Zaborg and then just pop 3 cards if you're doing it later in the turn, or if you're going second or whatever. Just very, very useful. So exterior is awesome because it will negate any spell trap card, so that's very useful, being able to negate the Pendulums just by removing play 1 card from your graveyard, such as your Monarch spell trap cards that you can add back to your hand, or whatever you want to banish. And then you also have to send the top card of your deck to your graveyard, so not that awful. It is possible to banish, like let's say a Pan Deity, and then send Idea, and then get Idea's effect to add Pan Deity back to hand. So Iframe Omega just allows us to return our monsters from our graveyard to our deck, such as our extra deck monsters and Herald of the Arclight. So pretty much you're going to be sending 3. Of course, you can only search out 2 cards, so then you use return 1 with Omega, and then you can summon out Unicorn by sending the other one. And then you can use the other 2 once Unicorn leaves the field to return these guys, and then you can use Zaborg again to get rid of your Omegas again, and then return your Herald of the Arclight. So it's a kind of a slow cycle, but it is possible to summon Unicorn twice or maybe even 3 times in one duel. So there is that. And then of course, if you can make a rank 8, you have just rank 8 monsters. I like running this guy because if you can get out 3 and you can still use your extra deck and you have nothing better to do, just draw 3 cards. Not that bad of an idea. Not that bad of an idea. And then of course Felgrand, Lancelot also being able to negate a card, but it is mandatory to negate if you're, so it's like that one older monster, I forget what it's called, but it's definitely very useful just being able to negate 1 card. Even if your opponent can bait it out, getting rid of 1 card is very useful, and he can attack directly. So just decent rank 8 monsters. So hope you guys enjoyed this deck. Tell me guys what you think of Monarchs. Do you think that they're going to be big? Do you think they're just going to be blown away, that they're not going to be able to do much? Because I feel this deck wants to go first in a format where everybody else wants to go second, pretty much, especially with Pepe. And with that advantage, and with the draw power and the consistency in the deck, like, yeah, it'll just Zaborg the extra deck, and your opponent really can't play the game anymore because they don't have an extra deck to play with. So hope you guys enjoyed this deck. Before again, tell me guys what you think of this deck. Tell me guys what you think of the format, and don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys later. Bye.